Good morning, dear students of class 7. I hope all of you are fine. Students, today we'll be starting with a new topic of our literature section, that is the chapter Penguin Frolic. Students, you all might have seen penguins in televisions, newspapers, magazines, internet. You might have seen many movies on penguins or seen penguins on discovery channels. You might be aware where do they live, how do they walk, what do they eat, how do they play, etc. But the most important thing is you might have not seen them in front of you. Why? Because penguins live in areas which are the coldest. They live in Antarctic, where it is ice covered for almost all year. So let us study about penguins in this chapter. After going through this video, you will be able to understand the theme of the prose, describe the characteristics of the penguins, explain the life of penguins on your own. You will be able to summarize the prose on your own, enrich your vocabulary by going through the new words, and you will be able to answer the questions independently. So let's get started. Just like humans, animals also have fun. They also enjoy their life by playing games, by swimming, and by doing other physical activities. In this chapter, we learn about penguins and some interesting facts about them. Students, in this chapter, we'll learn about how penguins live, how do they play, what do they eat, what characteristics do they have, etc. So there were three children and they were discussing about the cleverest animal on earth. And they all came up with different responses. First says it's an elephant, second says it's a parrot, and the third says that it's a penguin. All of them try to validate their statement by illustrating an example. But the evidence produced by the third one about the cleverness of penguins is worth mentioning. Now, the third child who told that the cleverest animal on earth is penguin, he gave an example on what? On the cleverness of penguins, and it was worth mentioning. Now, frolic means fun, validate means to prove valid, and evidence means proof. One of the travelers, he observed a large company of penguins which lived in Antarctic. Now, Antarctic is an area which is covered with snow almost all of the year. With summer approaching, the sea ice broke away in patches, leaving open water along the shore of Rookery. What is Rookery? Rookery is colony of penguins. Now, as the summer was approaching, what happened? The ice started to break away, and what happened? Water came up. Now, looking at that water, the penguins, they went down the surface to swim and bathe, catching the little shrimps. Shrimps are prawns which swarmed there as they were their food. Swarmed means moving in large number. Now, what was the food of penguins? Prawns, little prawns were the food of penguins, and whenever they used to go inside the water, they used to eat those prawns. Why? Because it was their food. It was noticed that the penguins never dived in alone, for they were scared of being attacked by the sea leopard, who often hid in the water under the overhanging ledge of the ice. Now, what happened? This shows the cleverness of penguins, that whenever they had to go towards the sea for diving, they never used to go alone. They always used to move in groups. They never dived alone. Why? There was a reason, and that reason was that they were scared of being attacked by the sea leopard. In order to find the presence of the sea leopard, what did they do? Penguins who were behind tried to push those in front to the edge. If the penguin was attacked by the sea leopard, the others just stayed where they were or tried again at other place. Else they would dive in and swim. Now students, see how clever these penguins were. That what did they do? Just to see the presence of the sea leopard, they used to push the penguins who were behind to the front of the edge, and if any of the penguin was attacked by the sea leopard, the other penguins, they just used to stay where they were. They just used to stay still, or they tried again at some other place. And if there were no leopard, and if they were not attacked by the leopard, they would dive in and they would swim. Now, diving means a headlong plunge into the water, and ledge means shelf. They wanted to enjoy themselves by playing various games. Now these penguins, they enjoyed their lives. How? By playing different games. Fishing wasn't their only purpose to swim. When they used to swim, their only purpose was not to fish, but their purpose was to play also. Their purpose was to enjoy their life as well. They would swim upstream to the end of the rookery, where they would board an ice floe and have a ride on it down to the lower end of the rookery. So these are the different games which they used to play. They used to entertain themselves and used to spend their day like this. Among all the games they played, their favorite seemed to be game of touch last. Now touch last was a game which they used to play, and it was a favorite game of theirs. Upstream means at a higher level, and ice floe is a flat mass of ice. They also seemed to love climbing. There was a grounded iceberg 50 feet high, separated from the rookery by a few hundred yards of open water. All day long they would swim and climb the iceberg, which took them about a quarter of an hour of laborious climbing to get to the top, and then they would climb down again and swam back to the rookery. Now, another thing which penguins loved was climbing. What would they do? They would swim and climb the iceberg, which took them a quarter of an hour to climb, and then they would come back again, and then they would climb up again. This was the game they used to play. It proves that penguins love to have fun as much as humans do. Students, iceberg is a large mass of ice floating at sea, usually broken off of a polar glacier, and laborious means hard. Now, after going through these points about penguins, we come to the character analysis of penguins. Firstly, penguins are very lively and they are very smart. Penguins are lively as they always wanted to have fun in their life. They play different games. They entertain themselves and other penguins as well. They were very smart and active. They were very clever. They never used to travel alone. Whenever they had to swim and catch prawns, they always used to go in groups. And whenever they would find any sea leopard in front of them, they would push other penguins and see if any of the penguin was attacked by that leopard. They would stay still at that place. They were very penguins are very flightless, and they always move in cluster. Moving in cluster means they would always move in groups. They would never they would never go alone anywhere. Just to keep themselves safe, they would always move in clusters. So these are the different characteristics of penguins. Now, to ponder over, I would like to ask you all some few questions. Where do you find penguins? Have you seen them in real life? Name other flightless birds you know. Which is the cleverest animal on earth according to you? Give reasons. What did you learn from the prose? So I want all of you to sit and think over these questions and give an answer to them. Students, I hope you all are clear about this chapter. Thank you.